ever-evolving landscape of American politics, few figures have been as polarizing or as influential as Donald Trump. As the 45th and now the 47th President of the United States, Trump continues to capture headlines and provoke spirited debates. Recently, he made headlines again, delivering a succinct yet poignant message. And to my fellow citizens, America is back. This statement is more than just a political slogan. It embodies a philosophy that resonates with many who believe in the potential of renewal and revival of the American dream. Trump's return to Washington, D.C. has been characterized by what some describe as cyclonic disruptions. His approach to governance, marked by bold assertions and unconventional tactics, has actually drawn fervent support and vehement criticisms. Supporters view his style as a necessary shake-up of the political status quo, while detractors argue that it creates a climate of confusion and uncertainty. One of the most significant aspects of Trump's presidency has been his approach to trade, particularly through the implementation of tariffs. His administration's trade policies, particularly those targeting China, have sparked trade wars that have reshaped international relations and impacted global economy. On Viewpoint, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue, we uncover the tariffs on a range of goods introduced as a means to protect American industries, aiming to bolster domestic production and reduce reliance on foreign imports. In any case, these actions have also led to retaliatory measures from other nations, including Nigeria, complicating global relations as regards trade dynamics. I'm Odiawa AI. Join us shortly. You're welcome back to the show. The show is still Viewpoint. Now, talking tariffs, trade wars, and politics influenced by the Trump administrations, critics, like I earlier on began by saying, argue that these trade wars could undermine the U.S. position in the planet or in the world, generally speaking, suggesting that the long-term consequences may outweigh many short-term gains. These tensions created by these policies have raised concerns among economists and analysts who fear that a prolonged trade conflict could actually lead to economic war or economic downturn, job losses, and increased prices for consumers. Despite the criticisms, Trump's unwavering messaging continues to resonate with his base. His assertive declaration about America's comeback are framed within a larger narrative of national pride and resilience. For many Americans, this message serves as a beacon of hope, suggesting that with strong leadership, the nation can overcome its challenges and reclaim its status quo on the global stage. Now, as we navigate this complex political landscape, it is essential to consider the broader implications of Trump's policies, including how they affect our economy down here in Nigeria, its international relations and social fabric. While some may view his return as a cause for concern, others see it as an opportunity to reinvigorate values and set priorities straight. These discussions surrounding Trump's administrations are not merely about one man, but they reflect deeper questions about the direction of the U.S. and its role with other nations across the globe. As we continue to observe these unfolding events, it's crucial to engage in thoughtful dialogue about the future of our nation, Nigeria, its economy, and its stance or position on the globe. Now, reflecting to socio-political and economic landscapes shaped by recent global happenings or turn of events, it's essential to consider the implications of these trade policies, particularly the tariffs imposed by the U.S. on goods exported from Nigeria. This situation draws air parallels to the COVID-19 era, might we recall. Now, during which Nigeria's economy was severely destabilized by pandemic and ensuing global restrictions on trade and movement. The current tariff environment poses an important, or will I say significant, threat to Nigeria's economic stability and would also, or could potentially, steer the nation towards another recession. Presently, the grunts and the complaints are evident across the country. In any case, however, this challenging reality presents an opportunity for Nigeria to reshape its economic framework and leverage its diverse yet underutilized resources, and this is directed to the center, the FEC to be specific. This time, it has actually come for Nigerian government to move beyond more rhetorics and regarding the economic diversification and take actionable steps towards reducing the country's over-reliance on crude oil exports. Now, 5 years ago, Nigeria's economy was brought to its knees by an epidemic, the COVID-19, like I began by saying, despite its relatively low impact, highlighted the precariousness of the nation's dependence on oil revenues. The global supply chain disruption served as a wake-up call, prompting discussions about the dangers of relying heavily on crude oil exports. Officials were vocal about the need to reform the economy, broaden the production base, and diversify foreign earning sources. But unfortunately, these discussions often fell on deaf ears. They failed to translate into concrete actions. Now, despite these lessons learned from pandemics, much of Nigeria's economic structures remains unchanged. Budgets are still heavily reliant on oil price benchmarks, and successful implementations of economic policies continue to be at the mercy of international oil market fluctuations. Now, today as we speak, while the oil gas sector accounts for less than 10% of Nigeria's overall output, the vast majority of the economy, over 90%, struggles to contribute significantly to the public revenue. Now, we're talking about the mining sector, we're talking about the agricultural sector, just to mention a few. This vulnerability means that any tremors in the oil markets will actually send shockwaves both to the federal and state governments, thereby undermining fiscal stability. Despite the fact of the United States only recently saw trade with Nigeria's increase by 61% to nearly $10 billion last year, the implications of a 14% tariffs are evidently significant. While others will actually surface, this tariff may not seem damaging given the trade figures. The reality is far more complex. The Nigerian economy is intricately tied to global markets, and the earlier the disassociation, the better, because any increase in tariffs can exacerbate existing vulnerabilities. Nigeria's fiscal strategy seems to hinge on borrowing. Evidently, we could see that with the World Banks and the IMFs, as the government searches for ways to fill the substantial budget gaps in increasingly cautious global financial markets. The current public debt stands at an alarming 144 trillion naira, and the ongoing reliance on external borrowing raises concerns about the sustainability of this approach. The lack of robust public financing options has led to the reliance of short-term fixes rather than long-term fixes or strategies that could foster economic reliance. The implications of this reliance are troubling, if we might tell ourselves, sincerely speaking, without a clear understanding of the potential damage of the country's fiscal position and economic stability. The government risks exacerbating the very challenges it seeks to overcome. If we look at it as I've just explained, the potential for an economic downturn or economic war necessitates a re-evaluation of fiscal policies and a focus on building a more resilient economic framework that can withstand external shocks such as tariffs and fluctuating oil prices, which might just come as surprises. Now, reflecting on lessons learned during the COVID-19 pandemic, it becomes clear that the period was a critical juncture for laying the groundwork for sustainable economic stability and resilient public financing. Now, as we face potential disruptions in global supply chains and the looming threat of inflation and food crisis, it is important that we act decisively. Recent discussions have raised concerns about the imminent impact of global supply chain disruptions in response. Nigeria's Minister for Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, Wale Edu, has assured the public that the country will not be significantly affected by the crisis, but I think it's just a rhetoric, like I said in the introductory phase. While such assurances are necessary to foster confidence among businesses and consumers, they do not eliminate the risks associated with major economic disturbances. Of course, we are well aware of these disturbances. To navigate these challenges effectively, our government must develop a comprehensive program of action. I want to believe policies are already in place, or the ground has been hit running, like it was said in the campaign period. This strategy should involve coordination with all stakeholders who may be impacted by the crisis, including businesses, farmers, and consumers, not just the oil big boys. A well-structured approach that can distinguish between short-term, medium-term, and long-term responses to the anticipated trade wars is not just important, it is quite urgent. This will allow to mitigate the impacts of increased shocks from tariffs and potential trade wars, ensuring our economy remains robust and adaptable. The current geopolitical climate is heavily influenced by protectionist policies, notably under President Donald Trump's America's First agenda. This shift towards autarky, a concept that emphasizes self-sufficiency, poses significant challenges for global trade around the world. While complete self-sufficiency is unattainable in today's interconnected world, it is crucial for Nigeria to recalibrate its economy to prioritize self-preservation, self-reliance in a face of external pressures. One of the most pressing concerns during a crisis in food security is, or as individuals, firms, and governments instinctively shift their focus from long-term growth strategies to immediate survival, is that we must actually ask ourselves, can Nigeria cultivate enough food to sustain its population amidst potential breakdowns in the food chain supply? I'm talking about the insecurity here. The answer hinges on our ability to prioritize agricultural efficiency and productivity. Immediate attention must be directed towards enhancing the agricultural sector, especially in light of an ultra-high tariff regime that may increase existing challenges. This requires sincere commitment to addressing the ongoing insecurity that hampers our farmers' ability to operate effectively thereby. The persistent threat posed by armed Fulani herdsmen who often invade farms and destroy crops must be addressed with urgency to ensure that our agricultural produce is produced or protected and our food supply remains stable. Now, as we step into the planting season, because evidently we can see the rainfalls coming or drawing in or inching closer, there is a unique opportunity for Nigeria to take significant strides towards self-sufficiency in food production. The recent challenges posed by global trade dynamics, specifically in light of tariffs, have underscored the importance of bolstering our agricultural sector. However, as we embark on this journey, it is imperative that we adopt a thoughtful and coordinated approach involving genuine farmers and relevant government agencies or MDAs. In previous years, the government has tended to address food shortages with financial injections. Unfortunately, frankly speaking, this approach has yielded, or rather has not yielded the desired results and has often led to unintended consequences. This time, we must prioritize collaboration with farmers to devise targeted incentives that can be implemented swiftly. Now, by working directly with those who understand the land and its needs, we can design strategies that truly enhance food production and address the pressing issues of food security. However, before we can fully invest in food production incentives, we must confront the ongoing farmer header crisis that has actually plagued the nation for more than 5 years, more than 10 years, still counting. This issue transcends mere political discourse. It is actually fundamentally about the survival of countless Nigerians. The government must not actually adopt holistic perspectives, recognizing that lasting solutions require more than appeasing political interest. It is time to seek genuine, sustainable resolutions that respect the rights and needs of all stakeholders who are actually involved. Once we have established a more stable agricultural framework, we can then turn our attention to a larger challenge of industrialization. Currently, Nigeria's economy is heavily reliant on commodity trading and services, a situation that has made us vulnerable to external shocks globally speaking, especially in the light of fluctuating global markets. The promotion of small and medium-scale enterprises is commendable, factually speaking, but it should not be a substitute for the ambitious transition to industrialized economy. Industrialization is not merely an economic goal, it is a pathway to self-sufficiency and a diversified revenue base that can mitigate the risk associated with our dependence on oil. As we move forward, it is crucial to revitalize our infrastructure, which serves as the backbone of any industrial economy. Without robust roads, reliable power supply, and efficient logistics, our ambitions, frankly speaking, for industrial growth will remain unfulfilled. Furthermore, it is essential for Nigeria to reassess its trading partnerships in a rapidly changing global terrain. We must strategically align our trade solutions with our economic objectives. This means fostering partnerships that only benefit our economy but also reduce our overall dependence on foreign markets for both imports and exports. The goal should be to create a resilient economy that can withstand external pressures and fluctuations. Now, on a conclusive note, whether one supports or opposes the Trump policies or approach, it is undeniable that his influence on global politics are profound, as it has affected us shockwise. The ongoing debate about tariffs, trade wars, and political strategy will shape the future of the country in ways we are only beginning to understand. While tariffs imposed by the US present a challenge, they also serve as a crucial reminder of the urgent need for Nigeria to diversify its economy. This has been Viewpoint, and I've been your host, Odiawa AI. Thanks for watching.